The lecture hall of the Galactic Academy stretched like a cathedral of knowledge, its crystalline walls refracting the light of 3 distant suns. Students from 47 different species sat in attendance, their varied forms creating a tapestry of the galaxy's diversity. At the podium stood Professor Zelthor, a towering Corinthian whose chitinous plates gleamed under the artificial illumination. And so, Zelthor announced with the confidence of someone who had given this lecture 1,000 times, the Corinthian people remain the only Deathworlders to have achieved spaceflight. Our planet's crushing gravity, toxic atmosphere, and predatory ecosystem forged us into the galaxy's apex survivors. Assel sat in the 3rd row, her dark eyes narrowing slightly. Her fingers drummed against the desk, a human habit that made the gel-form student beside her ripple with discomfort. She glanced sideways at Farah, who sat 2 seats away. He caught her eye and gave an almost imperceptible shake of his head. "Don't," his expression said. She raised her hand anyway. Professor Zelthor's compound eyes swiveled toward her, reflecting her image in a dozen facets. "Yes, the human student. Do you have a question?" "More of an observation, Professor," Asil said, standing as protocol demanded. "You said Corinthians are the only Deathworlders to achieve spaceflight?" The professor's mandibles clicked in affirmation. "Correct. The term Deathworlder refers to species that evolved on Class 12 hostile worlds. Corinthia's gravitational force is 2.3 standard units. Our atmosphere contains sulfur compounds that would liquefy most species' lungs, and our apex predators—" "Ever heard the name Earth?" Assel interrupted softly. The lecture hall fell silent. Even the Vexillian student who had been photosynthesizing in the corner ceased her gentle humming. Zelthor's plates shifted, the Corinthian equivalent of a frown. "Earth is your homeworld, yes. A Class 6 garden world, I believe. Quite pleasant by all accounts." Farah groaned quietly and slid lower in his seat. "Class 6? Assel's voice remained polite, but something sharp glinted in her tone. "Professor, who classified Earth as Class 6? The Galactic Survey Corps conducted a preliminary scan approximately 200 cycles ago, before humanity developed faster-than-light capability." Zelthor accessed his datapad, pulling up the relevant information. "Standard oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, single yellow star, moderate temperature zones." "Quite ordinary. Did they land?" Assel asked. "I don't believe so. Orbital scans were deemed sufficient for preliminary classification." Assel smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. "That explains it. Professor, Earth's gravity is 1.0 standard units. Your Corinthia is 2.3. That makes your world stronger, yes?" "Considerably," Zelthor agreed, clearly wondering where this was going. "Earth's oxygen concentration is 21%, Assel continued, her voice carrying across the silent hall. "Our atmosphere is so reactive that most metals spontaneously rust when exposed to it. We essentially breathe a slow-acting corrosive agent." "What's Corinthia's oxygen level?" The professor consulted his datapad. 14% with... He stopped. "With noble gases making up the remainder," Assel finished. "Less reactive, safer." She began walking down the aisle toward the podium, and several students instinctively recoiled. "Let's talk about Earth's predators, Professor. Have you heard of the Tyrannosaurus rex? A extinct species from your world's history, I believe. 12 meters long, 6 tons of muscle and teeth, hunted in packs. Bite force of 57,000 newtons. She reached the front of the hall and placed both hands on a student's desk. The furniture creaked under the pressure. That was 65 million years ago. They went extinct not because they were weak, but because Earth literally dropped a mountain from space on them. The planet killed its own apex predators and then evolved new ones. Farad had given up trying to hide. He was watching Asil with a mixture of pride and concern. "Modern Earth has great white sharks that can smell blood from 5 kilometers away," Asil continued, warming to her subject. "We have microscopic organisms that can devour flesh in hours. We have plants that can kill with a touch. We have weather patterns that generate winds strong enough to level cities. We have zones where water boils out of the ground and others where it freezes in seconds." She turned to face the professor directly. "And humans? We're the species that looked at all of that and said, 'I think I'll go for a swim. I think I'll climb that mountain. I think I'll explore that jungle.'" Zelthor's plates had begun to shift colors, a sign of agitation. I was not aware. We invented persistence hunting," Assel said. "Do you know what that is?" "We would chase prey for days, Professor. We didn't stop. We didn't give up. We would follow an animal until its heart exploded from exhaustion, and then we would eat it. What apex predator on Crinthia does that? None, Zelthor admitted quietly. We sweat, Aesel continued. It seems like a small thing, doesn't it? But it's a cooling system so efficient that we can outlast almost any other species in sustained activity. We throw objects with deadly accuracy, an almost unique trait among Earth species. Our brains are pattern recognition machines that see threats everywhere because for millions of years, everything on our planet was trying to kill us. She pulled out her datapad and projected an image onto the main display. Earth from space, blue and white and utterly beautiful. That is a Class 12 Deathworld, Professor. Maybe even Class 13. The Survey Corps just didn't land long enough to find out. The lecture hall had descended into complete silence. Even the translation devices seemed to have paused in shock. Ferrat finally stood, feeling the need to support his friend. She's not exaggerating, Professor. My family lives in a region called Siberia. Winter temperatures reach minus 60 degrees Celsius. Summer can hit 40 degrees above. That's a 100-degree temperature swing. People have lived there for thousands of years. Impossible, whispered a Delphinian student. No species could adapt to. We adapt to everything, Aesel said simply. We live in deserts, tundras, jungles, mountains, islands, plains. We live at sea level and at altitudes where the air is so thin that visitors from other worlds would pass out. We eat things that would poison most species. We drink ethanol, a literal poison, for recreation. Professor Zelthor slowly sank into his chair. His plates had turned a pale gray, the Crinthian equivalent of shock. I need to file a reclassification request. There's more, Aesel added, her voice softening slightly. We're also the species that makes music from our suffering. We write poetry about death. We create art in war zones. We carry our wounded off battlefields. We die protecting strangers. She smiled, and this time it was genuine. We're Deathworlders, Professor. But we're also the species that looked at a galaxy full of wonders and said, we want to be friends with all of you. She returned to her seat as the other students stared. Farah gave her a subtle thumbs up. Professor Zelthor cleared his throat, a sound like rocks grinding together. I believe we should adjourn early today. I have considerable research to conduct. He looked at Aesel with new respect tinged with healthy fear. Welcome to the Galactic Academy, human Aesel. It seems we have much to learn from you. As the students filed out, chattering nervously in dozens of languages, Farah caught up with Aesel in the corridor. You know you just terrified the entire xenobiology department, right? He said. Aesel grinned. Someone had to. We didn't survive Earth by being quiet and polite. Remind me never to get on your bad side, Farad laughed. Too late. You're from Earth too, remember? You're just as terrifying as I am. They walked together through the alien corridors of the Academy, two humans from a death world that had finally taken its place among the stars. Behind them, the galaxy was learning that humanity wasn't just another species. They were survivors. They were explorers. They were Deathworlders, and they had only just begun.